everybody. We're back again. Tailgating. I'm Bruce with Daryl and Marcus. We got a little different story. I mean, all this big stuff is over, heading towards the playoffs, I guess. We've covered all that. But before we really get started, I got a trivia question. We're going to try to give a trivia question all the time. We'll answer it at the end. But during this show, if you know the answer, leave us a comment. Let us know. But for the Dallas Mavericks, we just got Cooper Flagg, our number one draft pick. He's doing great. But back in the day, who was the first number one draft pick for the Dallas Mavericks? Tell us if you remember. Tell you the answer at the very end. Basketball. Keep talking about, is the game changing, evolving? Is it for the better or for the worse? I don't know. We're going to discuss it. It could be for the good. I just want to bring up an example. I was reading that when basketball first started, they didn't have dribbling. They could take 2 steps and then they had to stand there and pass it to somebody. Pass it. It wasn't any of this dribbling, which kind of worked, but then all of a sudden they get trapped. What are you going to do? I don't know. So some guy had this clever idea. What if he accidentally dropped it? And so he was trapped, he accidentally dropped it, got away, and he kept doing this. If he was dribbling the ball now you dribble the ball like this. But he's drawing the ball like this. Now he doesn't have control of the ball. So that's where dribbling came up. The refs had to get in the corner. What about this dribbling thing? I don't know. So dribbling just meant I don't have control of the ball.
Right.
And then when I was in school, you dribble the ball like this, you go like this. And oh, that's carrying. All right, you dribble the ball like this. So that's why it looked so silly back in the day. Why are you dribbling like this? Well, we had to, So a lot of rules have changed. I thought you'd like that little trivia. Maybe you already knew that. I don't know, but I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Well, no, you just helped me figure out what Marcus has been doing all these years. He's still playing back then. I understand your issue, Marcus. I get it.
Whatever, man. You could never handle me on the court anyway, man.
But we kept telling him, bounce the ball. You gotta bounce the ball.
Also, back in the day when you did that, it was just weird. Anyway, what do y'all think? There's so many things changing. I mean, I can see people. I would swear, they're traveling nowadays, but they're not. The new European step, the gathering step. Things how it's evolved. I mean, of course, the 3-pointer. There was no 3-pointer back then. But what have you seen that's changed? That maybe better, maybe worse. Either way, I don't know.
10 seconds, and you get 8 seconds now, right? Or did they change it back?
Oh, yeah.
It's goofy. It's real goofy.
Well, they also changed like the reset clock, right? So you used to get like the full 24 seconds if they had to reset the game clock, but now I think it's just 10 seconds or 14 seconds, right?
Oh, 10, isn't it?
Reset,
10 seconds.
I forgot about that,
yeah. Yeah, so that took place about, I don't know, 20 years ago. I feel like these things happen like way back then, but just so much time passed. It seems like it was just a few years ago, but when you look it up, it's like, oh, that was 22 years ago they played that thing.
Yeah, man, I'd like to know what Jaden has to say about a lot of this stuff, man.
Oh, that's true.
You take someone his age and how they play the game now versus 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, it's just completely different. Look, whatever happened to 3 seconds? I never see them call it.
They don't even really call that anymore. So
every once in a while they do, and it's like, where'd that come from?
Right. Oh yeah, or travel. I mean, literally, you see players take 5 steps. I mean, they got their Samsonite suitcase with them, and a boarding pass in their hand, and they still don't get called.
Or you get to change your pivot foot. Sometimes your pivot foot's left. Yeah. Like, no, I think it's going to be my pivot foot's going to be the right now.
Or it'd be the opposite, right? You'll see a player, he breathes too hard on one side of his body. Travel.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, I think there's always been a little bit of inconsistency, and let's just call it what it is. If you're the star player, you tend to get a little leniency, especially when it comes to fouls committed against you. You'll get the call, but yeah, man. I mean, the game has definitely changed substantially. I mean, my biggest take on like the NBA, and I'm talking like, Bruce, I'm not going to go back to that initial first era, the Bob Cousy, Wilt Chamberlain type days, but I mean, I'll kind of fast forward a little bit to like the time when I started to get introduced to basketball, which was the 80s and the 90s, what I feel was like just the marquee moment of that decade for basketball. And what defined it, it was a physical game back then. You had players like Dennis Rodman knocking the hell out of you, right? It was physical. It was hand checking was allowed. You had those real hard fouls, and ultimately you had to be a big man. Like you could not be a dominant team without a dominant big man back in those days. I mean, it was very rare exceptions where you had a decent big man and you just had somebody that was just awesome, like a Michael Jordan or whatever. But I think the other thing that was real prevalent back in those days was just the defense, right? You think about the Knicks and the Pistons and even the Heat way back in the day. Like those were all, and I mean, like Pat Riley, right? Where let's call it what it is. It's probably why they just erected a statue of him. But that's what defined that time. And you think about the players, the Akeem Olajuwons and the Larry Birds and Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas and Charles Barkley and David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, Stockton and Malone. Like you just had those type of players back then. And we've talked about this before. A lot of these players stayed with the same team. I think there were a few folks like Charles Barkley who moved around a little bit. Obviously, Shaq moved around a little bit as well. But the rest of those names I rattled off, I mean, they pretty much stayed with their same team for the entirety of their career, with the exception of maybe the last year or so. I think Olajuwon played like a season in Toronto or something like that. And somewhere I remember like Stockton and Malone and Gary Payton and Lakers. I'm sorry, not Stockton, but Malone and Gary in a Lakers jersey at one point.
They thought they did that dream team.
Oh yeah, that didn't go far. Nightmare team. That didn't go right. That didn't go far.
No. Well, did you ever see the film too, when you're talking about the old school guys? You ever see the film of Jabbar? I don't know who did it, but someone gave him a hit in the stomach. He kind of doubled over, but didn't get a foul. He just reared up and slugged that guy in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, but back then they didn't get ejected for fighting, did they?
No.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, I mean,
wow.
they might. I mean, depending on it, right? I think there were some ejections, but you didn't see the suspensions the way you see them today, right? I mean, you get enough technical fouls in the span, right? You have to miss a game. I mean, the game's changed a lot in terms of cleaning it up, and I mean that's just what we see. I think the game is following the trends of society, right? I mean, some of the brutalities of society are not as socially accepted, and I think you see that being somewhat commensurate to how the game is shaped up. You see the same thing with football, right? And I mean, even like on the kickoff now, right? You got to wait till the receiver catches the ball, then the special teams take off after the tackle. But I mean, it's just a different world, man. I'm not gonna call it soft, but it's soft. It's just what it is. It's a softer world. I don't know, Darryl. What do you think about like today's players? Like, you think today's, or Bruce, I don't know, maybe for you, like, what do you think about today's players? I mean, you got LeBron and Steph, and some of those folks are starting to fall off or age out a little bit, like Durant. But even then, it's still a modern game, But you got folks like the Jokic, and Embiid and Luka. I mean, it's some pretty bad ballers, some badass ballers out there. But could those players, as dominant as they are today, could they have been that dominant back in the 90s? I guess that's my biggest question for you guys. Could put those guys up against the bad boy Pistons. How do they fare?
Well, I think that they can outplay those guys, just because we talk about evolution all the time. I mean, people are stronger, faster, more. They're more equipped to make quick moves and that kind of thing. But the thing for me, the big difference for me is, personality. Hey, Jaleesa and I, we built Darja Media, now changed to Darja Studios. We built that on the idea of some of our peers who are writing films and telling stories and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It felt like when we were looking at the film or reading the story, we were reading this about the same character in every single person. Like no one was different. No one set themselves apart from another. They all talked the same. They all walked the same. They all were saying the same things. And so we said, nah, we're going to use real life personality for these people, right? Well, when you look at today's NBA, I mean, everybody's game may be different, but if you go back in the day, the entertainment value was much greater because some weird kind of way, every player had their own kind of personality. I mean, and that's why we called them the mailman. That's why we called them, the dream. That's why we call them the admiral, because it described the character that they were playing when they stepped on the court. You see what I mean? We just don't see that anymore. We don't see that anymore.
Well, I used to think too, and here's that old school stuff, but we don't get to see him develop. I think that's why Dallas liked Dirk. We saw him all the time. He came in as the European that came in soft, but we watched him grow and develop. He didn't 3 or 4 years later go to another team, and like Durant does. He's always going to another team, and that's what we had with Luka. We saw him come in here, and that was going to be our guy. We were going to watch him grow. Then all of a sudden, now he's over with the Lakers. Now maybe with what's his name, Cooper Flag. He's our guy now. But I think we've lost some of that. We root for the team, but really we all of a sudden discard somebody. Says no, we got to get other players in here. So we don't have that team element.
No. Like
but going back, I got to go back to the story though. When you said, could today's players play back in the old days? Did you ever see? This was during the '90s. No, when it was current. They asked Staubach. They said, "Do you think your team could beat today's team?" And he said, "Yeah, but it'd be really close. But I think we could take them by 6 points." And he says, "Wow, why so close?" He says, "Well, we're in our 80s."
That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know, man. If I'm putting together a team, like an all-star team, like, I'm sorry. I mean, most of my players are going to come from the 90s or the 80s, and maybe that's just, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man now. maybe that's just what it is. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, there was just so much more of a wow factor to the game. Like, it brought people together. And I mean, again, we talked about evolution in society. There's just so much more for people to do. And,
there is. Yes.
And so people have entertainment. Nobody watches television the way they did. It was just all centered around the same television shows, and we watched the same sporting events. Everybody, like a large percentage of people, did the same thing, and now everybody can pick up their phone and just do whatever they want to do. So you don't have that same community in terms of just like viewership and being able to talk about it. So that, I'm certain that's a big factor in terms of like why you don't see that passion as broadly for the NBA as we once saw back in the 90s. So I don't know. I
go with that story too. I agree because I try to watch the Mavericks. I can't find them. Then they get in arguments with whoever's providing. Now they are all the time on a station, but it's in Spanish. And that's great. But I don't know what they're saying. So I look for a channel for me, but it's only on if they happen to be on national. And I go to a streaming service. I forget which one has some of them, but they only show like 4 or 5, which is great. But they're never the Mavericks, so I don't get to watch them.
Let me get started on that BS right there, because I just, I know this is a family channel, man, but I really want to go off right now. Like that grinds my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. That grinds my gears, man. The fact that it's almost punitive to watch your team like that. At this point right there, we should be trying to find ways to get more viewers. But capitalism at its finest, and I mean, I'm nothing against a capitalist society, but it's just like, come on. I think it's more greed than capitalism. But it's like,
yes.
Really, come on, man. I can't watch the UT play, or I can't watch. If I live in San Antonio, I live in Austin, which is they don't have a major or a national, a professional basketball team, right? So the Spurs are pretty much the team here. But if the Spurs are playing a home game, you can't watch it unless you have like a NBA package or something like that. And it's just like, I mean, you can't watch a home game. So it's just like, come on, man, for real? Like, you really? Like, I get it. But I guess back in the day, right, it was the other way around, right, Daryl? Like, back in the day, you can only watch the home games, right? You couldn't watch the away games. It's almost like the reverse, the opposite of what it was back in the day. Because I remember, like, you have to like wait the next day or find out that they win or they lose.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm gonna add something to that that's a little crazy. When I first moved here to Dallas, I discovered that I could watch every single Houston Astros game, whether they were at home or away, every single one. But I cannot watch the Mavericks or the Rangers. And
Wow.
and and that's been ever since I've been living here. But the Astros, every single game I
Yeah.
can see here in Dallas.
That's just
That's
crazy.
crazy.
That is insane, man. But we could do a whole tailgating episode on just the greed that comes with viewing
Oh gosh, yes.
services and just how they try to drain as much money out of fans that love the teams, right? But it's like, hey, we know you love us. We know you bought our gear and our apparel, but we need a little bit more
Well,
money
that's
from
why
you.
they'll bring you out with a new jersey all of a sudden,
Oh
Then like, oh,
yeah,
we got
oh
to buy in
yeah,
the new jersey.
oh
They don't last
yeah.
forever. Then all of
Hey,
a sudden they got a new color.
hey,
It's a
yeah, man.
scheme.
I'm done buying jerseys with people's name on it because they ain't gonna be there at the team
That's
no more.
true.
So yeah, it's like I ain't doing that one. It got my granddaddy like that. They ain't give me like that no more. I got
But
yeah,
then,
yeah.
also back in the day, this changed. The game has changed, and for better or for worse. But I remember going to Maverick games, and if you get a free coupon to get a Taco Bell taco if they scored 100 points. And you're always like, oh, almost. And they didn't get it. Now you almost like you're going to get a taco if you hold the other team from 100 points because everyone gets 100 points all the time. So
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it's like a defense or the offense is better. Of course, the 3-point line, I guess, helps a
Well,
lot too.
well,
But
well, Bruce, we got to take a minute and we got to talk about this because it's not controversial, but it's kind of controversial. And that's that boys, taking out Kobe's record. What's his name? Bam Bio. I
Bam out of Bayou.
yeah. Sound like something you catch on your feet. But
Right.
anyway, uh, I serious like I don't know. Like I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from that brother for
oh, yeah,
that,
yeah.
but there was a greatness that was associated with Wilt Chamberlain. There was a greatness that was associated with Kobe Bryant, right? To see that they took their greatness to a godlike capability on one night makes sense. I ain't never heard of this dude until
Bro. Come on,
yeah,
bro.
I ain't never heard, and I've heard of him, but it's just like I don't know. Like, could he have done that even in a 2003 season? Could he have done that? I guess that's
No,
my question.
I don't.
I say
I
no.
don't think so.
Like I watched that Kobe Bryant game when he went for 81. I remember watching that game live, so I remember that game. But again, Kobe was just in the zone. I think his teammates were on board. They were definitely feeding him the ball, but not because they were trying to like help him break a record, but because he was hot. He just, he and everything. He had like 50 something at halftime, so he was just hot. Give him the rock. But I don't know. Like I'm.
Didn't he leave Did he play the whole game, or did he come out when it was like
maybe
all of a
2 or
sudden
3
one? I think he
minutes.
came out early. He might have could have got
He
more.
came out somewhere in the fourth quarter of that game. He talking Kobe, but
Yeah,
I don't
Kobe.
know. Like I said, I mean, he goes, he breaks Kobe Bryant's record and scores 83, which is fine. I mean, it's a record that stood up 20 years, and records are made to be broken. I doubt very seriously in this lifetime anybody will score 100 points, but I mean, I've been wrong before. I don't know. I'm gonna put this one to Daryl. Does him scoring 83 points, does that count the same way it did for Kobe scoring 81 points? I know it shows up in the record book. I mean, it shows in the stats, right? But it's just like, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But I can tell you that's 106 DraftKings points, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had him in all of my lineups that night. I had him in. I just had this gut feeling about him that night.
Okay.
So yeah,
well, I'm glad it benefited you, Daryl. I am so glad it benefited.
Hey, you notice every time we talk about DraftKings, Marcus say the same thing. Like, yeah, I'm glad it benefited. I'm glad it benefited you, man.
I mean, I'm over here trying to have an adult conversation. You over here talking about your DraftKings, man. I want some of that money too. Get me on the
play
DraftKings.
We just need them to sponsor us.
I know, right? Come on, Daryl. All that money. You just made some money. Why don't you give them a sponsor us, man? Pick up the phone, make some phone calls.
Okay, when I hit the jackpot, this one we're gonna holler at him. I need to hit jackpot. I only hit the jackpot once, so
Yeah. I listen, at the end of the day, it's a different game, right? Could Steph Curry be the Steph Curry that he is? I mean, yeah, could he be that accurate in the 90s? Yeah, but would it work? Could Shaq dominate today the way he did, at the end of the 90s and the early 2000s, right? I mean, the players are more athletic, to your point. I think more of them are athletic to your point. Obviously, there's so many variables, free agency, that play a major factor, right? And I mean, I think obviously they've softened the rules up. What used to be considered a cross, how they do a crossover today would have been called a carry, back in the 80s with the quickness, right? So, like I said, things have changed. It's a different NBA. I'm starting to gravitate a little bit back to it, but it doesn't have the luster and the appeal that it had. I remember that the NBA All-Star Weekend used to be like one of the most marquee, incredible events I would wait for every single year. And it's like now I know it's on, I'll watch it, but it's not, I don't watch it with the same intensity and the passion I did 30 years ago. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I think you have a good point too when you said earlier that we have so much more to do, so much entertainment everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
And, because I remember too what the Academy Awards were just on recently. I didn't even know
night.
until it was over. And used to be that was a big highlight to watch because, things like awards shows, I think, used to be bigger.
The Grammys.
So it's probably, you're right. It's in the same category.
All of that. It's not the same anymore. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch it either. Not all. I mean, I caught a tail end of it. I mean, but I used to watch all the awards show, everything. The Grammys, I watch. Now you just catch the highlight clips on YouTube the next day. You're good.
Well, I've already prepared my Academy Award speech because I'm going to be the oldest newcomer ever.
You got my vote, Bruce. You got my vote.
Yeah. All right. Anyone get the answer to the first ever draft pick for the Dallas Mavericks? Our first draft pick for the Dallas Mavericks. That was Mark Aguirre. Remember him?
Yeah.
They used to call him wide body because, they said he could wide body people out of the way real well. I don't know who came up with that. I mean, the commentators, but that was our big superstar. He was probably close to a Hall of Famer. I don't think he made it. Won the championship to Detroit later on, but that was our first draft pick. So now y'all know. Hope you got it right. Well, anyway, you guys subscribe and leave us a comment. What do you think about today's game? Has the evolution been favorable? Evolution poor? Both ways? I don't know, I'll still watch it if I can find the channel to watch it on, but I'll still watch it. Anyway, let us know, and we'll see you next time.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.